everybody, and welcome to Go Riding TV. Today we fire up the motorcycles and go ride Ontario on a tour of the North Shore of Lake Superior. Alan Masters goes to school at the stock car track, and we head west to test out the new Grizzly 700.
Go Riding TV is brought to you by GoRideOntario.com. Ontario, yours to discover. By Yamaha, what kind of Yamaha are you? And by G-Max Helmets, quality helmets for everyone and every ride.
It's all set, let's go riding.
The freedom of the open-air cruise that comes from a motorcycle ride needs to be experienced to be truly understood. The Go Riding crew headed out to sample a tour established for bike enthusiasts that rolls around the incredible North Shore of mighty Lake Superior. The sights and attractions we experience from Thunder Bay to Terrace Bay will certainly inspire any rider to want to go ride northwestern Ontario for an adventure tour unlike any other.
It's a great destination to come riding, and we certainly encourage people to look at it and consider it. Whether you're coming from Western Canada, whether you're coming from the Southern Ontario markets, it's a beautiful ride up here, and it's a great place to come and spend a week riding and exploring the city. We welcome people to come and see something a little different than what they may find in some of the more congested areas of Canada.
The road trip has lots to offer, but there's also no shortage of local attractions worthy of breaking out the Digi-camera for. First stop was Fort William, an exact recreation of the original fort that served as a trading post for the Northwest Company of Montreal. History buffs will love this. You witness the yesteryear unfold before you as traditional meals are prepared over a fire and canoes are built old school using birch bark. Next stop on the must-see list is Kakabeka Falls. Witnessing the 40-meter plunging waterfall is a sight that needs to be experienced and a huge draw to the area. Riding on, it was hard to miss the next stop. Towering 1,000 feet above Thunder Bay, Mount McKay is incredible. At the 500-foot level, the Skyline Walkway provides a breathtaking view of Thunder Bay, the Sleeping Giant Provincial Park, and the Sibley Peninsula, which juts out into Lake Superior. After everyone packed up the cameras, we hit the highway. It was about a half hour from Thunder Bay where you really started appreciating the fact you're on a bike.
Riding around Lake Superior, the shores of Lake Superior, is spectacular. The view, being so close to the shoreline, being able to explore, seeing the Sleeping Giant from the highway, it's unbelievable. Like you're right on the shores of Lake Superior. It's absolutely spectacular. The highways are very nice. They're clean, they're curvy. You come across through big rock cuts, coming down and seeing the lake. We have a lot of hills here, lots of nice curves, very nice highway.
Not far from the Minnesota border, this northern Canadian gem has its share of Americans who know where to go for a good ride.
It's kind of a different kind of country. The nice ridges along the sides of the valley. Saw some mountain climbers, not climbing mountains, but the cliffs, and kind of fun to see the lay of the land.
It's a little bit different in Minnesota. A lot more evergreens than there is leaf trees. More of the flat top basalt shale stuff.
It's more hilly here than where I'm from, so it's always fun on the bike to hit the hills and the curves. And
they've actually got curves here. Minnesota, there's not many curves. Highway departments have a good job of straightening out the roads. A little more curves, a little more hills. Yeah, it is a lot more fun here.
This route we rode to the town of Nipigon is not designed to be run hard as a high miler. Here you want to relax, cruise, and take in the sights. 45 kilometers west of Nipigon, we found the ultimate proof. How does Canada's longest suspension footbridge grab you? Spanning a nasty 600 feet across and 150 feet above Eagle Canyon, needless to say, the views are amazing and only shared by those with the cannolis to venture out across it. With scenic lookouts aplenty and loads of views from the highway, it is simply a beauty ride that takes you in and eats up the memory card.
Trip's been quite amazing considering I've ridden this stretch many times, but never taken the time just to step, whatever it is, a few hundred yards off the highway and see these pretty incredible places that I never really thought they existed. I mean, I never took the time, and I gotta say, if somebody's traveling along here in the North Shore, take the extra short bit of time and you'd be surprised. I am.
Scenery is amazing, the people are friendly, and every 2 miles there's something new, and it's definitely not like riding on the interstate where all the scenery you get is bumpers and billboards, so it's a lot of fun.
A little more rugged up here, most definitely. I mean, there's some pretty spots down in southern Ontario, but up here there's a little more bush, a little more ruggedness to the country. They're pretty spectacular cuts of rock, you know, that I don't think you'd find that often down south.
What amazed me the most, I think, was all the things that were out there that I didn't know existed, like all the tourist attractions that are actually tourist secrets nobody knows about.
Tucked away like hidden treasures in the small communities just off the highway, we had the pleasure of stopping in Red Rock and Rossport to enjoy some of the finest meals going. Don't be fooled by locations. The culinary offerings of these restaurants will appease even the most scrutinizing.
It was super. We had a wonderful ride. We stopped at so many nice, beautiful places and some really fine dining too along the North Shore. I enjoyed looking out at the lake. The main scenery for me was the big lake. I grew up along this lake. The falls were nice, the canyon was wonderful, but for me the main thing was just riding along Lake Superior.
The North Shore offers something for every kind of rider. From Terrace Bay to Nipigon, the motels were a great surprise on the trip. First class and clean, and offering everything from full suites and a deck with a barbecue to a unique arch structure finely furnished just like home.
That's wonderful. The people are all very welcoming. They're ambassadors for the North Shore. All the communities are making a commitment to making the shores of Lake Superior, the whole circle route around Lake Superior, an adventure and a wonderful experience.
I'd recommend anybody come up here and ride along the North Shore. We didn't spend nearly enough time to hit all the places along here.
When we come back, it's off to school at the Barrie Speedway. Here's a school with a different kind of curriculum. We head to the Barrie Speedway to learn about stock car racing.
Well, if you have the need for speed, then here's a high adrenaline ride for you. How does a stock car race school grab your attention? Big time, we bet, and it certainly grabbed ours too. So we loaded the crew up and sent them to learn how to drive a race-ready stock car and take a spin on the oval track at the Barrie Speedway.
Well, we've had it going for about 7 years. We used to do it in smaller cars, and when we expanded the racetrack, we went to the full-size new generation car that actually races at the Speedway on Saturday nights. So we built some race prep cars. We have a 2-seater super truck, Craftsman super truck. And really it's an experience. It's, you know, to get the feel of what a stock car feels like, the surroundings, the walls around you, you know, the rumbling of the motors, the heat. We do a lot of corporate events as well as private schools. And it's just a real successful deal. People come out and have a great time.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Well, you show up in the morning. We do a little bit of track orientation in the tech shed, talk about some of the safety and how that car is going to handle, give people a little bit of advice on kind of what we're looking for. Right after that, they actually walk the track, find out the points in the track that you want to hit, where you want to be on the gas, off the gas, what to expect at certain parts of the racetrack. Sean McWhirter is the teacher, and he does a great job of it. Then basically it's a lot of in-car activities. You run your first set of 15 laps. We run the second set. There's some critiquing done after each set. We then break for lunch, have a good lunch, and come out for the third set. It usually goes from about 9:30 till about 3:30 in the afternoon, so people from the city can get out and get back early. You know, the biggest question is, can we go another one? I mean, that's the most common question asked at the end of the day.
It was crazy. It was fast. It was unbelievable. It was amazing.
Oh, track was good. Track was. I wanted to go faster. Of course, my friend over here, Seb, was behind me.
Yeah, she looked like she was pushing you around the track. Did you feel a little shunt from time to time?
A little.
Your marshal was trying to get you to overtake him because you were going so fast.
No, I didn't understand what he was telling me over there, else I would have passed him.
We got this little rivalry. I've been told before we did make it over here that I had to keep her speed in check. So I wanted to make sure on the first few laps that I did keep her from overtaking.
Yeah, that was quite apparent.
Yes, he was just driving too slow for me.
Now this is something I really had to try. I've raced everything from bikes to cars, but always on road courses. This will be a first, racing a stock car and on an oval track.
Let's see if we can keep the rubber down on the black side. Fire up.
Okay, yeah, you fire up. Perfect. It's gonna go about 4 slow laps, then he'll take off.
Okay. Let's do it again!
When it comes to selecting a PFD for your water fun, make sure you get the right one for the right job. These inflatables have been on the market for a few years now and are great. Some are self-inflating and will expand as soon as they get wet. Others require a manual trigger. What's awesome about these inflatables is you barely know you're wearing them. Although perfect for boating, inflatables are not yet legal for the PWCs. Watercraft riders need a more traditional PFD, such as this vest. They fit snugly and offer great protection and flotation. For a PFD to work properly, they need to be matched for body weights and sizes, and of course, Coast Guard approval. And remember, if you're not wearing a PFD, it can't help you, so be safe and wear one whenever you're on the water. With these inflatables, you won't even notice they're there. When Go Riding returns, we head to the Ottawa River for some awesome touring. For those of you looking to tour on the water, the Ottawa River has a lot to offer. One riding opportunity that is not often thought about is taking a PWC tour. Yes, professional watercraft provides loads of fun for short blasts on the water. Our crew trailered into the Mattawa area of Northern Ontario and sampled an amazing ride on the historic Ottawa River. Carving its way through the Canadian Shield, we were treated to a fantastic ride that had very little traffic and a spectacular, breathtaking scenery. This majestic river is massive and provides loads of options. It starts on Lake Temiskaming and flows all the way through the nation's capital. And from Ottawa, it runs into the St. Lawrence Seaway. Our plan was a couple of day trips from our home base in the town of Mattawa. The folks and businesses in the area know how important tourism is to their region and appreciate the value of the historic attraction that comes with the area. And they cater to do it with red carpet service.
Well, where we're currently standing is right in front of the Val Motel Restaurant Establishment, which is on the Ottawa River overlooking the Laurentian Mountains, so right in the borderline of Ontario and Quebec, and right close to the meeting of the Mattawa and the Ottawa Rivers, which is what Mattawa is named after, actually. In Native heritage, it means meeting of the waters.
Traveling east, we were surrounded by the towering Laurentian Mountains as the river snaked through the rises. The shoreline has very few cottages except for the odd fishermen. You can virtually have the river to yourself. After many kilometers of a relaxing cruise, eventually the route brought us to a few power dams on the river. Although this was our turnaround point, this is not the end of the run. Portaging the boats and PWCs is coordinated through a call center that arranges for a trailer to transport you to the other side.
We provide a service for, it's a waterway system, I guess. Boats come down and they want to get lifted over the dam. There's a call center for it. It's a 24-hour booking, so everybody knows in advance that these are coming, and it takes an average about 5 minutes. Depends on the size of the boat. We like taking our time, you know what I mean? We don't want to damage nothing, so it's average 5-10 minutes.
Between the west side of Deep River and New Liskeard, there are only 2 dams you have to go around. This stretch of the river is more than long enough to provide plenty of riding for our 4-day trip. Information for the portages, fuel, and lodging can be obtained from the various tourism offices in the area. If you want to make this ride even more spectacular, and you have the right riding gear, the fall colors in this region would be amazing.
The fall is particularly spectacular around here with the, again, because of the Laurentian Mountains in the backgrounds, just a whole range of colors of leaves in the trees and stuff like that. It really has attracted a strong, loyal following of people from all over the world.
Sometimes out on the trail or the road when you're on your motorcycle, you encounter that obstacle that you don't have time to go around or stop for. So for trail riders, it might be a tree that falls down at night. The next day you go around that corner and there's a log across the trail. You don't have time to stop, but you can go over it. For the street rider, it's that muffler or something that's fallen off of a truck perhaps. You'll see all kinds of things on the road. You can go over it. A couple of quick tips are get your butt off the seat, stand up as tall as you can. Just before you hit the obstacle, give it a shot of gas. That stands your suspension up. It makes it as tall as it can be. So now the spring, when it hits that obstacle, has more compression, more chance of getting over it. So a little blip of throttle just before we hit, butt off the seat, try not to stare right at it. What you want to look at is the pavement or trail past the obstacle.
Closed captioning is sponsored by GoRidingTV.com, the powersports website for all enthusiasts.
When Go Riding returns, we put power steering on a quad to a real-life test. Here's a test ride with a twist. Our riders take the Grizzly 700 with EPS for a run in the mountains. Let's go riding. Go riding.
The evolution of technology is evident everywhere we turn, including the powersports market. Some upgrades are clearly winners, but oftentimes with others, we wonder if they're really better or just marketing hype. When big claims are made, we like to get the proof in the pudding, put it to the test. Looking to the ATV market, many new changes have been introduced in the last several years, and more recently, Yamaha introduced a first, power steering on their Grizzly model. This 700 fuel-injected unit was known for its power, but she's also a big unit and takes some grunt to maneuver it in tight and rough terrain if you're not used to it. In chatting with our Yamaha product manager, the addition of power steering is claimed to make the steering efforts considerably lighter and easier. So swinging the cameras west, we scooped a Grizzly with power steering and a few other quads and gave it to our test group to put it to the test in the rugged BC mountain terrain. Here's the real deal results from that test session.
That's what sold me on it, because it's actually I used to have a Polaris, used to have a Kawasaki, two Polarises, and after riding this, we rode them up in the snow, and power steering is sensational on it. When you're riding for the longevity of the day, you notice that you're not as tired at the end of the day when you get back, and your back in particular is not as doesn't feel as tense or as worn out, because the Polaris is nice machines, but they, when you're riding them all day, after you're riding them all day, you find that, as far as the power steering is concerned, you can steer it with one, couple fingers all day. So it's pretty awesome.
I like it. It's my first ATV I've had, and it seems to work really well. I use a touch more in the power department, but the handling, power steering looks good in the rough and rock and mud and all that. It absorbs it, makes it easier for a longer part of the day. You're not feeling the jars in your back and everything.
Oh, it's awesome. The control is just unbelievable compared to all these other ones. I've ridden a lot of quads and it's just unbelievable. I think every quad will have it soon enough. Every single one. Oh, it hauls ass. It's awesome. With a little bit better tires, it'd just be unbeatable. Actually, on the road, you'd have thought it might have been a little doggish, but it's not at all. It just takes right off in there.
I like it. After demoing it,
Don't know if I could get back on one without it. It's nice, it's fuel injected. Goes good. I like using diff lock, and with diff lock on one without the power steering, it's real hard to steer. That one, no problem. You could do it with one hand. I like it. It's a good option. I think it'll be popular.
That's one of the better quads I've driven, and certainly driven some Polaris and the smaller Yamahas, and certainly find the power steering and the power in this bike is a whole lot superior to those others. I don't think there's any doubt that you're going to see the rest of the manufacturers following suit with the power steering, and certainly I think that this will be a real selling feature for this particular bike over last year's model.
Based on these comments, it's fair to say the power steering was a noticeable upgrade and a welcomed addition to the Grizzly. Big power with an easy steer can get you just about anywhere. But be aware, sometimes even the big guys get in over their head and need a hand getting out.
We just arrived at the first stop at Gravenhurst Bay with a Seagrin steamship. It's parked. This is for our first poker run ticket.
Go Riding TV has been brought to you by Yamaha. What kind of Yamaha are you? By GoRideOntario.com. Ontario, yours to discover. And by Snowgore Canada Magazine, Canada's best snowmobiler.
Hey everybody, and thanks for watching. Our crews have been touring on bikes, getting wet on PWCs, racing at track days, and getting down and dirty in the mud. We'd love to know where you ride. And if you have any ideas, comments, or cool events you'd like our staff to cover, surf our website at GoRidingTV.com. Send them to us. We'd love to hear from you.